What's up, everybody? This is Mike Garcia here at the BDA podcast, and today we are interviewing Mission, Texas native, right? And the very one and only Miss Holly Cavazos, American Ninja. Holly, how are you?
And good. How are you, Mike?
We're super duper. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just get into it, man. So let's give it a little background. If you want to tell the viewers a little bit about, you know, what you're about, the American Ninja experience, and then we'll kind of jump into some of the ideas we had for today. Go ahead and give us a little.
Sure. Yeah. So my name's Holly Cavazos. I'm a mother of three. I competed on American Ninja Warrior for 2 years now, and I really got into fitness in my adult life. So it's relatively new to me, but I've always been super active. So I'm just excited, just pursuing dreams that I never thought were even possible after having 3 kids has really been awesome. A good learning experience and just good perspective in life. Like if you're still here, you still have time. So I'm still learning that, and I'm just enjoying it.
Dude, that's awesome. So I want to ask, you know, I think a lot of us, you know, maybe non-competitive athletes, right? Or the average Joe, we sit at home and we watch TV and we're watching American Ninja and we're sitting there eating potato chips and we're like, oh man, I could do that. Right? Everyone kind of thinks, oh, I could totally do that.
I've been there too.
So, you know, let's talk about that. You know, tell me, you know, what was what attracted you, right, to giving this a shot and going out there to compete, and then to compete at that level, you know, where you were able to make the cuts. I'm assuming there's a process, right? Like to get into this show that's aired. I think it's filmed in Vegas, right? Is that correct? It's filmed in Las Vegas.
The finals are. Okay. Well, thankfully, I had an awesome coach who had experience on the show, and he helped me get to the point that I got to. It started years ago. I've been watching the show since 2009, probably, almost since the beginning. But I had just gotten married and was already pregnant, and I saw it, and of course you think, oh man, that would be so much fun. Right. Like, I want to do that. But at that time in my life, I just was like, well, I'm already settled and I'm already doing all these other things. Like, that's for people who, you know, just have lots of time. And so I just watched it for years, but always thought it would be so cool to do that. And later on down the road in life, it literally just came to me. We saw that my coach, Abel Gonzalez, there in the Valley, he had a gym, and we went to try it out, mostly for the kids. I ended up putting my boys in his classes, and they liked it. And I still wasn't thinking of it for me. I was just one of the moms that sat there and watched their kids during class, like everybody else.
Right.
But after I had my daughter, I learned that I had a herniated disc, and so having her was very painful, and then trying to recover, not only postpartum, but just from an injury, I was looking for something. I used to run. I like to jog and run. That's pretty much all I did. I had never been in a traditional gym prior to training for Ninja.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I was at the boys' class one day there at the Ninja Gym at Axios, and I saw that he had a mobility class, and it was for adults. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, maybe if I could work on my mobility and strengthen my core back up, and my back would be better. And that's exactly what happened. I started taking the class, and just a few weeks in, I was already feeling so much better. And he was like, hey, you're actually like really strong. Have you ever thought about training for the show? And I was like, my jaw was on the floor, because I was like, yes, like that was all it took. And then from there, I started training seriously.
Wow. So you went from, I mean, it sounds like you had you were a jogger, a runner, maybe not high intensity exercise, but you're going from recovering rehab from the back, right? So you have some issues there with the back. So you were able to fix that up, get the mobility, start the training. What do you think was the biggest shocker? What was the biggest shocker for you as you started that training? let's go day one. You walk into the gym getting ready to do this American Ninja training. And I asked because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there kind of in the same situation, be curious, like, hey, what do the workouts look like? As a strength coach, I have an idea of what I think, this would look like. But, you're the athlete. You're the one preparing for this. Like, let's go day one. What did that look like walking into the gym? Were you intimidated? Were you feeling confident?
Here's day one. Day one, as an adult walking in there, you think, it was so easy when I was a kid to jump rope. It was so easy to do the monkey bars. I'm going to fly through these rings.
Right.
And then you jump up there and you are humbled so quickly.
Wow.
I mean, we lose movement and just using our body so fast if we let it. Mm-hmm. So it was hard. It was challenging. When I first went in, I could hardly do anything. I couldn't even swing from some bananas or cannonballs or whatever holds were up there. I couldn't hold myself for more than a few seconds. So it was interesting because I've always been pretty strong, but then on the other hand, when it comes to moving and flying through the air and stuff, like it just wasn't there. So I had to learn just like everybody else. But yeah, it's very humbling. It's harder than it looks. And the competitors on TV, a lot of them are very good at what they do. So they make it look really easy.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine going in there because I can relate, to that, what you just said. When you're 10 years old, 12 years old, and you're jumping around on the playground and you're on the monkey bars and, jumping around, we probably only weigh maybe 70 pounds or 80 pounds at the time. So you're throwing that weight around like it's no one's business. You're not getting tired. You do it in the morning, you do it in recess, you do it in the afternoon. And then here comes the adult part of our life. And here you are, doing that same activity, and I think you nailed it. It's pretty humbling. Like, wow, okay, this is going to be a lot harder. Let me ask you, what was the biggest challenge you had? Do you feel that maybe it was building your cardiovascular endurance was maybe a little tougher? Was it just trying to get into finding the strength to get through, the muscular endurance, finding the strength? What did that really look like? Where would you say you had the biggest challenge for you training that?
That's a good question. Definitely, as far as techniques and stuff, my footwork, I should have come visited you for a bit before the show, because lower body footwork and stuff has always been challenging for me. But really, the biggest challenge is just the mentality. Like, it is a mental game just as much as it is physical. And it goes for the show as well, and really anything in life, right? Mm-hmm. My first year, I was not as strong physically, but mentally I was there. I was ready. And then my second year, I was way prepared physically, but mentally I wasn't there. And that's everything, Wow. So I think there's a really fine balance in your approach. It can't just be all physical. You got to be paying attention to every aspect of your life and your mind.
Right. No, for sure. Hey, so that training routine, how long do you prepare before you go into your first qualifying round, or what's that process look like do you qualify at one level to a second level and to the show?
So typically for the show, and it's been a bit of a different experience for me personally because my first year was when COVID hit. So, but generally you apply toward the end of the year. They open up the application process for a month or two around November, December, and then it's closed, and you don't hear anything until usually around spring break, maybe March, April. And then it's about a month later that you're there filming for qualifiers. So really, you don't have a lot of heads up.
Wow.
Maybe a month, maybe sometimes 3 to 5 weeks. I'm not sure, but yeah, somewhere in there. So for me, my first year, I applied a year before I got accepted. I applied right when I first started training, right. And I did not want to apply. I was not ready at all. And my coach said, guess what? You're never going to be ready. You have to just do it. Even if you're not ready, just do it, or you're never going to do it, or you're going to keep finding a reason that you're not ready and an excuse. So I said, okay, I'll apply. So I applied and I didn't get picked. I didn't get selected. And I was like, you know what, that's okay. I ended up going to one of the qualifiers for that season, which was held in Oklahoma City, and I was a tester for the obstacles.
Oh, very cool.
And honestly, that was probably one of the highlights so far of my ninja experience, was just getting to go out there, like no pressure, no cameras, and just try out these massive obstacles. And it was a really good test to see where I was at the time. And it kind of, put me on the map, or like they took notice of me for the next year. So it was a really good experience. And so then the following year, when I did apply again for my second year, is when they selected me. Everything got pushed back because of COVID,
right.
And it was a lot different. There was no audience that year and things like that. But yeah.
Did you feel less pressure with no one in the audience? Or is the cheering on, more encouraging? What worked better for you? What do you?
Well, I really don't have much to compare it to. But generally, I do not like being in front of crowds unless I'm with a group. People I think generally that I like to be in the spotlight, or, I'm not shy, but really I would rather be in the back. Just don't look at me.
So that gave you a good mental advantage then, right? Being able to run that course, right, with no audience and kind of focus in.
But it's like eerie at the same time. It's like pitch black in there and just lights on you, and it is so quiet, and they're just like, go.
Wow. Hey, is that set an indoor set or outdoor set? It looks, when we're watching, it looks like it's outdoors, right? I mean, is it outdoor?
For most of the show's course, it's been outdoor. I think, actually, when COVID hit, was when they were kind of transitioning into indoor. They played around with it for a couple cities, and I think they're moving more towards that. But finals in Vegas are always outside.
Right.
But for the qualifiers and the semifinals, they are starting to do more indoor. So, yeah, it was indoor. So that's also different because years past it had all been outdoor.
Right. Hey, so let's talk about your training regimen. So I know you talked about you were hitting the gym, the obstacle gym, right, with the obstacles in the gym you're training at. What did that look like for your strength training? So I'm sure there were days you were hitting the gym, kind of lifting some weights, then working on agility. Did you combine them? How many times a week were you training? And I also want to add and I think this is really important for everybody too, to understand, like your diet, your recovery, your sleep, right? So what did that look like, as you're preparing for this show, which is, this is not a cakewalk, right? And like you said, these athletes make it look really simple. And they get out there because you guys are so strong. You guys train for this, and you really do make the average Joe like us out there eating potato chips, thinking like, "Oh, I could do that," And that's. But hey, let's talk about the dedication, right? Let's talk about the work. What did that look like?
So I had 3 little ones at home. It was a lot. Thankfully, I had a really strong support system. An amazing coach, amazing gym. We trained 3 times a week for probably 2.5 to 3 hour sessions, I would say.
Damn.
And every session, obstacles were just a small part of what we did, because everything translates, right? If you're doing movement training, working the different planes of movement, mobility, flexibility, strength, then it's going to translate over into the obstacles. So that was always what we did. Obstacles were what we did like at the end of our trainings when we were already so tired and done. And yeah, we would just put it into practice. So that was the first time. Training for the show was the first time I ever started lifting weights. Worked on my mobility. I mean, I had done some stretching here and there and small things at home, but yeah, it was very intentional. It was very thought out. Every exercise we focused on, quad dominant, hip dominant, all the different transverse, and we incorporated push, pull, everything into our trainings. And Abel had a lot of experience, and he was really generous to just share it with us, everything he knew, as well as nutrition. Yeah, being very intentional with meals. And I had never counted macros or even looked at, but generally I'm a pretty healthy, like intuitive eater. I've never been super out of control or anything. But yeah, just like taking a look and taking note and meal prepping and all that sort of thing. I was, sure to do that because I sometimes wasn't getting as much sleep as I needed to, although I prioritized it. I mean, with 3 little ones, it's hard. So just doing everything that I could to set myself up for success.
I want to talk about the mobility piece. You know, I work with a lot of athletes, and it seems like whenever we start talking about mobility, everyone gets kind of turned off. It's not like, oh, you know, we got to, yeah, right. And I think it's the way you approach it, right, that allows you to really. The more mobility you have, the more you're able to move, the more range of motion you have, the less restrictive you feel, the stronger you can get, and it's just maximized. But I feel in the fitness world, it's almost frowned upon sometimes. It's almost like, oh, we're going to stretch really quick. Definitely in sports, we see it. You know, the kids will train a specific sport for an hour and a half, but their mobility routine is 10 minutes. 15 minutes before the sport.
I've definitely noticed that in the gym. Here we are, us adults, trying to be at our best for the show. You know, Abel's older than I am, and we would be in there really taking our time because we are not trying to get an injury in the first 30 minutes. And these teams, they're so good. They're so good, strong. And they haven't lost that movement yet. And so they just go in there and they're flying around. Did you stretch? Did you warm up? No, we're good. I'm like, man, that's nice now, but when you get a little older, you're going to.
For sure. But imagine if they did stretch, right? If they made their mobility a priority daily, man, you know, as much as they're beasting up.
Next level.
Yeah, they're totally next level. And I've seen that, you know, I've seen the things you post. I think it's awesome. There's a lot of yoga. Do you have a background in yoga or posing?
No, I don't. I just interest here and there. So I'll incorporate it. And my goal is just to be really well-rounded. Even if I'm not doing ninja anymore, strength training, mobility, flexibility, all of it interests me. And it just fascinates me, like what our bodies can do. And so I don't want to leave out any components, you know? Right.
No, for sure. So, you know, now with Ninja over, right. And that was awesome. I think it was so great to see you competing. You know, I was rooting for you. You know, you had the valley behind you, man, rooting for you. You know, you're welcome. You know, that was such a great feeling. It's so great to know that we have athletes. One is that there's so many athletes in the valley. Right. So let's kind of talk about that we have so much talent down here. And sometimes the outlets aren't as accessible, maybe in a metropolitan area or a more loaded area. But the little ones that we do get, right, then we're able to, you know, propel some of our athletes out there. It's awesome. We have kids that are playing college ball. We have athletes like you on American Ninja. We have pro ball players. We have some swimmers competing in the Olympics and, you know, World Games and so on and so on, you know, coming out of the valley.
Yeah,
and it's so great that everyone rallies, you know, behind you and just kind of cheering on the 956, right? That sometimes doesn't have the best connotation, but, you know, that 956 is in there as we're pushing the athletes out there. And I think it's great, man. I think, you know, you added to that culture where we have a local who can go out there and do it. You know, and I think it's an inspiration for a lot of kids out there who are just trying to do anything, whether be competitive, you know, be competitive in their sport or even their profession, you know, because sometimes some of the outlets in the professions aren't quite there. So, you know, it was really great to see you out there, man. And, you know, we were rooting for you and, you know, that was,
man,
it was
awesome. Let me tell you, I felt the support of Mission in the whole valley. Really, I mean, it was incredible. I loved it. I was so glad that I had the opportunity and that I just felt so supported and loved. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was really great. And I just wanted to say that, so, you know, and we were super proud of you. And, you know, now as we move on now, I know now you've relocated, so you're no longer in Mission. So that's why we're here in Zoom. I don't think anyone's going to make the travel expense. So where are you residing now? You know, where are you at now?
I'm in East Texas, north of Beaumont, out in the country, and I'm near all my family now.
Very nice. So I know I've been kind of following a little bit here on social media, and I know you're going to be beginning your own fit journey, or right in training, online training. Let's talk about that a little bit. So what's that looking like?
Yeah. So coming off of the show and just reevaluating what I wanted to do. You know, when my kids were younger, I stayed home with them, and they're getting a little older now, and they're in school now. So I was like, what do I want to do now? My personality is so like that. Like every few years, I'm like, I want something new. And I just follow whatever I'm passionate about. I've always been that way. And I've done some different coaching in the past. I used to be a doula, a birth coach, and I got to help women and just support them, attend a lot of births. It was super incredible. And then I did coaching at the gym, did ninja coaching with the kids, and I really loved that. And so now I'm like, you know what? How can I incorporate the experience that I have and my passions? And I was like, I want to target moms in particular, but women on their fitness journey. I just naturally enjoy it and pretty good at it. So I was like, okay, let me be intentional about this. So I started my certification process. I'm almost done here. So I'm about to start training, and
Awesome.
I'm excited. We'll see how it goes. I originally just had social media to update my family because I didn't live near them, just update them on my journey. And then Ninja, when that came about, just trying to promote and like get the word out there. So now I'm actually trying to be intentional about just finding my target audience, and hopefully I can help some other moms or women on their journey and just be a support.
Do you think you want to get more into the postpartum part of that? I mean, with the experience you have with birthing, and I know I've never been pregnant, obviously, but I'm sure, there's a lot, there's a lot that comes with it, right? I mean, the postpartum, even depression and postpartum blues, the baby blues and things like that. Maybe you're not feeling the best about yourself after that moment. I mean, with the experience you have, that'd be a good market to get into,
Right.
That postpartum.
For sure.
With women who are, trying to get back into shape, or how that's going to look. So you'll be launching this you with your certification done. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you? Where is the outlet on that you're going to be pushing?
Yeah, so my handle on social on Instagram is at FitMomHolly. So you can find me there, shoot me a message. I would love to help any way that I can. And in the future, I'm sure I'll have a website and stuff, but I'm still working on it. So for now, just social media would be a good spot.
Awesome. Well, Holly, I want to say thank you, man, for coming on. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad to do it. And next time I'm in town, I'll have to stop by and see how things are and get some tips.
Yeah, man, it'll be great. I would love to have you come in. We can work out, man. It'd be great. We can, help promote each other in the business. I think it'll be great, man, have you come in and we get through a workout. But I want to thank you again. And thank you so much for making time. And,
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for all you're doing for the Valley.
Bye-bye.
Bye.